This is my puppy on the first day that I met him, being held by Laura, the director of the Nashville Humane Association. This was only 3 months after I lost my long-time best friend, Mr. Puckett, a 15-year-old dog. And I was still a wreck. Her husband posted this puppy on Imager and tagged me to say, "Hey Abe, look at how much this puppy looks like your old dog, Mr. Puckett." And he wasn't kidding. He did look a lot like my best friend that I recently lost. It took me a while to figure out that this dog was right here down the road from me in Nashville, Tennessee. And when I figured it out, I started posting him all over social media, asking people, what do I do? I've never had a puppy before, let alone 2 dogs. When Mr. Puckett passed away, I adopted an adult dog who had a whole slew of problems herself. So I set up an appointment with Nashville Humane just to come down and meet this little puppy. I just wanted to hold a dog that looked like Mr. Puckett did. I really had no intention of adopting him that day. I got a picture of the first time I was able to hold him. He was pretty scatterbrained, as most puppies were, and he was all over the place. But they let me take him out for a field trip that day. And I decided to take him back to my house and introduce him to my recently adopted adult dog, who I named Mrs. Puckett. He couldn't even climb up the stairs, his legs were so tiny. 5 pounds. I put him in the backyard while I prepared Mrs. Puckett. She had been neglected and abused most of her life, and still had issues with dogs. She still had a lot of issues, so I was afraid of what might happen when they met. So I tried to wear them out separately, so they weren't so anxious when they met. We got PJ in the backyard and let him run around as much as possible, before we finally brought out Mrs. Puckett, nervous as can be. The first picture we ever got of them was pretty adorable, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. You can see from the first video I ever took of them together how scared Mrs. Puckett was, and even aggressive, with the hair standing up on the back of her neck. She didn't know how to react to a puppy. She didn't know if she was being replaced or sent back to the shelter. She didn't know anything. This is the first picture I took of them inside, and you can see how confused she was. She didn't even know what to do when she got her first hug. Later that day, they both calmed down, started cuddling, and you could tell it was the first stage of them falling in love. So I called Laura back at the Nashville Humane Association to say, "Laura, I'm not bringing this puppy back to you. I'm going to adopt him and try to give him the best life humanly possible." Over the next year, Mrs. Puckett and Puckett Jr. fell in love, and we became a family. And it was almost exactly 1 year to the date that I adopted him that I heard from Laura at Nashville Humane once again. She was putting on a 5K here in Nashville and a fundraiser for all the amazing things that they do in our community. We love to run more than anything in the world, and we've had a lot of success fundraising for local organizations. So I did what I always do. We started training for the race. We started spreading the fundraiser every place that we knew where to spread it.
Now, I couldn't wait to help the Nashville Humane Society, but I really wasn't sure how to do it. I do these fundraisers and supply drives on a national scale, but it's so tough to do things for your own community. To get someone, say, in South Africa to contribute to a global cause is a whole lot easier than to get someone from that same place to donate to my community thousands of miles away. But luckily I had an ace up my sleeve, and that was this guy, my littlest love I've ever had in my life, who the Nashville Humane Society brought to me, and then he got known all over the world. So I was hoping that that would be enough of a connection to be able to raise money. Now, these fundraisers, everybody who signed up for the 5K were supposed to raise at least $250. And I was going to put just an arbitrary number in there to try to raise, and I put $10,000 in there, and just hoping for the best. I know for the entire event, the Humane Association was trying to raise $20,000, so I thought it'd be pretty radical if we could do about half that. At the end of the fundraising, we all got together for this 5K, for this race, and that's what it was all about, to celebrate the fundraising, and it turned into the Puckett's first race ever. They run so much, as many of you know. They had their first 18-mile run this week. 18 miles for these tiny little legs, but unfortunately when I try to enter them into half marathons and marathons, we just get told it's a liability issue and they're not allowed to run. So this was not only going to be the Pucketts running, but it was going to be 100 other dogs running this 5K right down the street from my house in Nashville, Tennessee. So we're going to take a look a little bit at the fundraising side of things, and then we're going to go to this adorable event with all of these dogs running a 5K to celebrate all the work everyone did for the Nashville Humane Association.
So I started posting PJ's story all over the internet. Instagram, Twitter, Discord, Snapchat, instant messaging, and even where people knew him best, right on HIMBR. I told him what Nashville Humane Association did for me by finding me this dog, and people were more than happy to give. On the first day, we brought in $3,000. And every night I would post more, and every morning I would wake up to see more fundraising done by people all over the world. In the end, I posted across 6 different social media platforms a total of 27 times. And it was finally race day, and we had raised $9,308 all over the world.
2, 1.
Hi, this is Josh at Nashville Humane Association. I've got Sammy here with me today, and we just wanted to say thank you so much to the Puckett family and to everyone who donated during the 2021 Mutt Strut. Thanks so much for making that possible and for helping us help little ones like Sammy here. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts so much.
Look at all these dogs. What an amazing time. 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and everyone came out of bed and out of their homes just to get together to celebrate the Nashville Humane Association. I met so many people there, and more importantly, so many dogs. It was set up so well. They even had people in costumes like this 3-legged pirate dog and his pirate family. My best friend Z-Heart even came out to root us on. And it was a little warm that day. It felt like it was 100 degrees, but I'm not sure. They had toys for all the dogs and gift bags. And of course they had treats too. The race itself was a ton of fun, but it only lasted 26 minutes. I think the best part of the entire day was just walking around and playing with every dog I saw. Mrs. Puckett came to me a nervous wreck. She was so scared of crowds and loud noises, and even children. But she's come so far in the year that she's been home, that she had the time of her life on this day, playing with all the dogs that she could, and of course, playing with the humans as well. Once the race actually got started, we had a ton of fun. Now, we're long distance racers, so being out there and going fast for 3 miles was pretty darn tough for us. But we had a blast.
Good job, little angels! Yay! You're scaring the little ones! Hey, go PJ! Woo, 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 woo! Awesome job! You did it! You did it!
There was even a paralyzed dog who got pushed the whole way and allowed to finish on his 4 legs. It was such a beautiful scene. Mrs. Puckett ended up finishing 4th for dogs, and Puckett Jr. took 1st place in the under 30-pound category by about 8 full minutes. He had an incredible showing that day, and I think we grew a little bit closer as a family. And then it was time for the award ceremony.
So our top team fundraisers, we have our 3rd place is the Figert team, Team Figert. Congratulations, Team Figert. Don't forget to come up and grab your picture if you are here. Our 2nd place Team Finisher fundraiser, Team Fundraiser is Lunchbox. Good job, Lunchbox team, for helping raise funds for the Nashville Humane Association. And our 1st place team finisher is Abraham and Mr. Puckett's team. Well done, Abraham and Mr. Puckett. Good finish today.
At the end of the day, there was over $24,000 raised for Nashville Humane Association, and over $9,000 of that in Mr. Puckett's name. I can't thank all of you enough who donated, and everyone who shared the post with other people that they knew. I get a lot of credit for all these things, but none of it would happen without you being behind me. Be it raising money for Children's Hospital and donating my hair, and trying to find a silly way to send food all over the world. Most recently on YouTube, raising funds and sending goods to domestic violence survivors facing homelessness, and doing fundraisers for shelters and underfunded classrooms across the country. And even my biggest project of all, over 3 years of addiction recovery and counting. And none of it would have been possible without many of you standing behind me the whole way. I don't know what the next project will be, who it will benefit, or how the heck we'll get it done. But I know one thing. As long as I have all of you behind me, it's going to be a great success.
I think I've seen the spice of life.